It's weeks like this that make me glad that I'm no longer in politics, you know, because, I mean, I remember...
Do you know, I think everyone feels the same way.
I mean, the truth is, the one thing I could not stand about being an MP were my constituents. You may loathe members of Parliament, but it is as nothing as to how we feel about you.
Here we go again. My name is Paul.
My name's Andy.
And we are not live around the world.
We're not.
We're not. We're going straight to DVD.
Mm-hmm.
We're straight into the bargain basement. We're not going on worldwide general release until tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's going to be through the YouTube platform. Okay, we are not snubbing Awake Radio at all.
No.
But we wanted to take a moment and look at what we were doing.
Mm-hmm.
This is still the Unpenned Show.
It is.
But not quite as unpenned as it was before.
No.
Because the format that we were doing was a live format.
Yeah.
And we didn't prepare it.
No.
We just sat down and did it.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a personal challenge to ourselves as to whether we could actually put on a show with what we knew and how we felt and what we'd seen.
Mm-hmm.
After doing that enough times, we thought, let's look at what the next step would be if we want to keep doing it. And we waited a long time to come back, didn't we?
We did, yeah.
2 weeks.
Yes.
We waited a long time to come back. And the reason that we have come back is, yes, you listen to this on YouTube and we're very grateful, but we've come back for selfish reasons. Because over the 2 weeks, we've realised that without the pressure
of having to do this,
of not having to do it, but wanting to do it, but once you remove the pressure of having, it wasn't feeling the same.
No.
We weren't quite enjoying looking at the world in a way, because you see it, you remember it, you describe it, you share it, and then you see something else.
Yeah.
You're always overwriting it, aren't you?
Yeah.
So we never got to save it. You know, we never got to save it in a way that that's how we felt on that week, and that's why we felt that way, and we can look back and see how we've moved forwards, backwards, sideways, up, down, different, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So rather than go live and the pressure of me driving, you following, or you driving and me following, unscripted, it didn't take us any further than we got. So we thought, let's take a minute, see how we feel. 2 weeks later, we thought, we need to do this in segments that we want to put together.
Yeah.
So the beginning of the show was the beginning of the show. We are sat on a Tuesday evening. It is Tuesday, the 1st of April 2014. We're doing what we've always done, but I'm going to press the stop record button from time to time, and we're going to prep what we want to talk about after segment versus segment, which makes perfect sense, to be honest.
Yeah, it does.
Because there is a lot to talk about. You know, we've been... The path to poor is now well laid,
it's
isn't
well
it?
underway, yeah.
We are... There's no doubt about it that we're being taught to be poor under the guise of austerity, and it'll be good for everybody in the long run.
Yeah.
Okay, this is a religion that's never worked and never will work.
No.
Because it's only for us. It's only for... The guise, as we all know, is quite simple. It's through the benefit system, the Robin Hood method of stealing from those that have, to give the hook that those that haven't, until we all haven't.
Yeah.
Nobody can understand this method of thinking until you realise that the money system is the control.
Yep.
We're taught it's the carrot. We're taught it's to chase. We're taught it's to amass. We're taught it's so we can buy things to be happy. We're taught it's something to be proud of, to have a lot of it. I ain't saying those things are wrong. But that's not how the teaching should start and finish. It should include that this is how we control large numbers of people. This is how we get them to do what we want them to do regardless of how they think and feel.
Yeah.
Because they will prostitute themselves. They will pawn themselves to us. We will make them into pawned stars. And as all pawns, they will be burnt and sacrificed as and when is needed in the game of life.
Yeah.
And pawn can spell P-O-R-N or P-A-W-N. It's the same game. You give something of yourself in return for cash.
Yeah.
In the P-A-W-N system, you can buy the something of yourself that you gave back. In the P-O-R-N system, you can't have it back.
No.
See, civil servants might offer a civil service, but they servant the devil. They do as you're told, and not the public that pays them. Welcome to our show. It hasn't changed at all. It hasn't changed. It's just that we chose to go off the live method.
Yeah.
And actually just do bits and pieces. Will we be doing another show next week? I have no idea. We will if we want to, if we've got something that matters that we want to put onto the recorder, and we'll put it onto YouTube. You guys and girls enjoy it, or leave it, or do whatever you want with it. All I've ever said is, don't misrepresent it. Don't mash it so I say things that I didn't. And don't think you know what I've said without asking me first if you're not sure.
Yeah.
That applies to both of us.
It does, yeah.
It's very difficult with this double, treble, quadruple meaning language to get something wrong very easily. I mean, look at text messages. Look at the trouble they cause. All because we can't punctuate. Punctuation would solve text messages problems in a breath. Can we punctuate? Can we, jiggerbug? We can't do it at all. So, we felt the first thing we wanted to start with was...
Yes.
Okay, our most favoured publication, the state-arm-controlled Daily Mail. We absolutely love it because it is there to scare the bejesus out of everybody.
It certainly is, and that linked with the national media as well. But this has been in the news quite a lot just recently. Cinderella Law.
I know, don't they have some great names for stuff? It almost sounds too good to be true already.
Yeah, which is piggybacked off the Jimmy Savile scandal, the sexual abuse of kids, the paedophilia.
That's Jimmy Savile in the plural, isn't it?
Yes.
Because there's been an awful lot of Jimmy Saviles at the BBC.
There certainly has, yeah.
Do you think that's where the word Jimmy came from? Hey, a Jimmy Riddle and a Jimmy... You know what I mean?
I do know what you mean, yeah.
The slang comes into the language because it's commonplace between those who choose to use it.
Yeah.
We were talking before we went on there about a guy that's called Flossie.
Yes.
Now, you mentioned the name Flossie, and then said it was a guy. In my understanding of language, Flossie could never be applied to a male. But apparently it can be by a certain group who choose to use that. What did you say? A guy called Gloss?
Gloss, yeah.
A guy called Gloss. Your granddad or something said, wasn't it?
It one of my granddad's pals, yeah. I thought he was a painter and decorator. But he wasn't. He worked at Green Lane Mill.
And he was called Gloss?
Gloss, yeah, because he shined at ball games. He was good at cricket, good at football, good at golf.
But you see how we connected things in days gone by?
He was good at it, yeah.
See how we made these connections all on our own? Well, doctors do it, don't they? They have their own language. Solicitors have it, police have it.
Yeah.
They have their own languages, and we have our own methods as well.
Truckers, don't they?
Locally.
Yeah, CB language, that was...
You can't beat a pleasant trucker.
No, you can't.
You can't pluck them either. Now, this Cinderella Law.
Yes.
This Cinderella Law, because it's just brilliant, isn't it?
It is. It's just...
If you watch Cinderella backwards, it's about being married, isn't it? It all starts off rosy, and by end you're home alone, scrubbing bloody fireplace. It's a marriage in reverse.
It certainly is.
That's what Cinderella is.
It's one step beyond, though, isn't it?
At least
really?
she wasn't a man like Michelle Obama. Sorry, we'll do that later.
In this madness that we call reality.
Happy days, Monday, Tuesday, happy days. They're not happy days at all, are they?
No.
I mean, a happy day is spelled D-A-Z-E.
It's strange, though. We're only a few weeks ago. This hadn't even come out, but we had Lewis round. We were having pizza. And
he just comes round to your house for pizza, doesn't he? He only comes when you're having pizza.
Friday night.
I've noticed that.
He only comes for the pizza. He doesn't come to see us. He only comes for...
place like a bloody hotel.
Homemade pizzas they are as well. They're not shop-bought rubbish. But I said
We've
to
got
him...
pizzas for supper.
I said... oh, gosh. Oh, they're sorry. I'll try it and tell you what it's like.
You know what?
I'll give you an honest opinion.
You know what size slices to cut him, don't you? You can have an equal share of a quarter for a half.
2/3 at will.
It's actually this is the. Not only are we being made poor, but we're actually being made less than parents.
Yes,
this is.
We can't even be trusted to be parents now.
The reason why I said that the civil servants really serve the devil. That's who they serve.
It is.
I mean, the devil's not a guy with a red...
No.
The devil is doing things that they shouldn't do. The devil is lived backwards.
It is.
That's what the word is. The devil is lived backwards. Think about that. These people serve the devil. They live backwards. They are nanny's boys. That's why they create a nanny state. Because that's all they know.
Yeah.
They've been brought up in families where... I'm not going to try and overstep the mark by guessing what went on. But Nanny brought them up, and Nanny looked after their interests, and then they went to the boarding schools, and then they found out how the world really works, and their first experience of a shared experience was in the shower, and that's how the hierarchy is maintained. I mean, in the government we've got today, it's not just about an all-Eton based cabinet. These people all know each other. They all went to school together. I mean, the old boys club, as you want to call it, could not be more better shown to us by who's in the cabinet today. This is such a small clique of weak, powerless, pathetic people who have to say and speak other people's words. Because they have to listen to advisors, which is, don't you look where you're going, we'll tell you where you're going because we're going to add visors to show you where you're going. You'll say what we write, you'll wear what we put on your back, you'll meet who we say, you'll shake hands with who we tell you, and you won't drive your own car, and eventually you won't tie your own shoelaces.
No, you won't
because you belong to me. You are being pimped out to me. You belong to me, boy. And without me, you're nothing. You can't create anything, you can't make anything, you can't fix anything. You're perfect for politics. Sit down, shut up, and you'll do what I pay you to do.
And that's going to kick back on the parents, isn't it? With the kids, as we said.
Well, isn't politics where rich people's useless kids get directed?
They do,
because they can't do anything else.
And partly that's because they've not been brought up by the mum and dad. They've been brought up by an outsider. Somebody that doesn't, a nanny,
which is why they hate the family.
We do,
They hate the closeness.
They do,
They hate the word love because they've never experienced it.
They've never experienced it.
Because if they did, they wouldn't do these things.
They wouldn't.
They wouldn't do these things.
And that rings of that.
You go with that headline and let's see how we get, because I keep getting mad about this one.
Why this law against emotional cruelty could turn every parent into a suspect. Just going back to what Lewis said, this was weeks before this came out, and I said to Lewis, I said, you know, when we were bringing you up, Lewis, I said, what did we do to you that you didn't like? Because you're old enough to tell us now. He's 24 now. He's just gone 24 this month, last month. And the only thing he could think of was, he said, on a Saturday, I had to go shopping with my mum. And it was about the time when Pokemon, the cartoon, was on. And of course, that's all they talked about at school on the Monday morning.
Kids think like that, don't they?
Pokemon.
That's the way kids think.
But in this situation, I said to I was just having a
exactly. I know you go with
a joke with him this morning because I was working with him today.
I know where you go.
And I said, Lewis, according to this law, you'll be able to take us to court and sue us for not being able to watch Pokemon and discuss it with your kids, with your friends on a Monday morning because you'd missed it on a Saturday because we dragged you out to go do the shopping.
But this is the factor, isn't it?
Yeah.
This is this Cinderella law, and it looks like it's going to get through. Okay, this Cinderella law is finally putting the kids in charge.
It is.
Okay, after many years of you can't smack them, I don't advocate smacking children. I never will advocate smacking children. But I don't also want to get involved in other kids and other parents' lives.
No.
It's not for me to judge. Okay, we will get to where we get to if we're left to get there. But we're not. Our evolution, our path, our destinies are always pre-laid.
Yeah.
Like the footpath that you walk on is laid in front of you, and the lights are static, and you'll go down that footpath, and because you're scared of the dark, you'll stay within the lights.
Yeah.
And they put the lights up. They are lighting the house they want us to get to. This is a fake system of ships avoiding the rocks, avoiding the dangers, staying out of the dark and following the light. It's a complete sham. It's a complete counterfeit. But that's where we are today.
We are, yeah.
Because we don't light our own way. We don't carry our own spirits in the way that we're not frightened of the dark. Because spirit should make you understand that you have to live in the light and the dark. The chessboard is, some you win, some you lose. But nothing out there that you can't see and have never met is going to kill you. Okay, it's not going to kill you. These deities are not going to kill you. Unless you believe they're going to kill you. But back to the story, the Cinderella law. This is putting kids in charge of the house.
It certainly is.
Now, I know that some parents will be confident in their ability to communicate with the children, and those people can correctly call themselves parents.
Yeah.
Correctly. And the kids, albeit maybe they're a little young, you always hate your mum and dad and make an attempt to run away at some point because your mum and dad keep saying no when you want the word yes.
Exactly. Run away.
But think about how that's been brought about. The reason that the kid thinks he's in charge is because, quite simply, the parents have never really dealt with the children in the way that if you want to choose what you're having for dinner, pay the bill.
Yeah.
Parents have never come up with that way of treating the children.
No.
If you want to get your kid to do better than you, spend twice as much time with them, but spend half as much money. You know, if you really want to achieve and be proud of what you... Don't make it easier. Don't spoil them. To spoil is to damn well ruin. Why would you spoil your children when you can teach them the lessons that you learned and you can teach them better and faster?
Yeah.
But it's not by showing them the shortcuts, the loopholes and the cheats.
No, and the cheats. No, definitely not.
You see, that's what today's modern society wants you to do.
Yeah.
It wants you to find the shortcuts, the loopholes, the cheats.
It does, yeah.
Yeah. So you don't have to work as hard. I don't want my kids. I mean, I think
to spoil you.
If parents wanted to really say something, they'll say, I want my kids to have everything I didn't have. So when I get old, I can move in with them. You know, is that really what's going on? Well, that's not working out very well, is it?
No.
Because the kids don't want them. This is scary. Scotland already has coming in through the SS. This is another way of getting a third parent involved here. This is 3 parents.
A trained negotiator.
They'll bring recommendations, which are called orders.
Yeah.
Okay, but we use recommendations and guidelines. But they're called orders because this is a very easy progression to see now. That if your kid is brought up properly, they'll respect the discipline. They'll understand it. They might not like it. But they won't run to school and say to the teacher that you didn't let them watch whatever it is they wanted to watch on TV. They won't run to school and say, my mum made me sit in my bedroom on my own for an hour and I felt scared and frightened and I didn't know what to do, and when I cried they didn't come and help. You see, it depends who you report that to at school. But this is getting kids to be telltales on the parents.
Yes, it is, yeah.
Now, do we have perfect parents? No, we jolly well don't. No, we don't, and we have less and less perfect parents. We can argue about that, but what's the point? There was a time when social services were there to intervene and help you to become better parents.
Yeah.
Now that's changed.
It
They're not there to intervene and help.
No.
They're there to come in and judge.
Yeah.
And they will come in and make their mind up about whether you're good enough to keep that kid.
Well, this all started in the 60s, and I can tell you why I know this started in the 60s, because I was 3 years old, and that would be 69.
Yep.
And social services got involved with us because my dad was killed when I was 10 months old in a road accident. My brother was 3.
Yep.
And I was chatting with my mum a few weeks ago about times gone by.
Yep.
And we've been a little bit distant through religion and things like that. And only just sort of getting back on talking terms now with my mum after all this time. And I'm 48 now and she's in her 70s, so tells you how long this rift's been going on. But I sat down and I remember the old lady, and I hated her. She always wore a raincoat. They called her Mrs. Wilmore. And I said, I remember Mrs. Wilmore coming round a lot, Mum, but I didn't understand what she was there for. And she said, I'll tell you what she was there for. She was trying to take you lads off me, because she was trying to say that I was a single mum and I couldn't cope, and she was trying to get me to sign you over to put you into care. And I wasn't right in my mind because I'd lost your dad, and I was depressed, and she still is now today. She's finally admitting that she's got a problem with depression because of the tragedy that happened to her. And this is some of the reasons why I'm getting on better terms with my mum and my stepdad now as well because of that, because she's come to terms with it as well. But that was, and it isn't until you get so far down the line and you know what's happening. Roger Green, is it? Robert Green.
Yep.
We went and supported Robert Green, didn't we? And
there was no one else there.
And the amazing work that there wasn't, but we've done that on another show. But the amazing work that he's done. But I can tell you now, that was straight from my mum's mouth. She said they were trying to take the boys away from her and telling her that she couldn't cope. And she could cope because she managed to bring us up. She managed to get another husband who took 2 boys on. You see.
Isn't it hard for us to? I mean, you and I are both well over 40 now, and let's sort of remember that before we were 40, the world didn't look like it does now.
No, it didn't.
Because the crest of the hill, we reached the top of the mountain. We sort of got in one version the best we could be, energy-wise, achievement-wise, materialism-wise, sort of thing. If you haven't got it by the time you're 40-ish, the chances are that you're not going to get it. Okay, you're not really going to have it much after. But that's not what I'm talking about. We saw one side of the world, and when we got to the top, we didn't really want to drop anything. We didn't want to give anything up.
No, we were enjoying it.
Yeah,
we enjoyed getting there.
Exactly, and we wanted to hold on to it all.
Yeah.
And we went to some extreme lengths to hold on to it. Or people do go to extreme lengths to hold on to the dream. But eventually the fall starts. And once the fall starts, your thinking process completely reverses, doesn't it? The way you think, your view is now changed from uphill to downhill. So you go from spending to saving.
Yes, yeah.
And the two things don't go together.
No.
You either spend, but when you get to the top, you spend. And now you're looking to save. You've got to save yourself from the fall.
You have.
And it changes your whole perspective, doesn't it?
It certainly does, yeah.
The whole way of living, of spending, of investing, and of judging.
Yeah.
And
you have chance to reflect and look back and look at the mistakes you made, and you think, if I had my time over again, I wouldn't make those mistakes.
Admit them.
But you've got to admit them at first.
Do we live in a world that's prepared to actually admit their mistakes? And I'm going to tell you that the ego, it doesn't let you, does it?
No.
Because it makes you blame everybody else. Okay, I would be if it wasn't for.
Yeah.
And it's never my own lack of knowledge. It never comes out. That was my fault. I'm going to have to live with this. It's a strange, crazy world. And it's all built, and we know how it's built. We know who does it.
Because you people and 62 million other Americans are listening to me right now. Because less than 3% of you people read books. Because less than 15% of you read newspapers. Because the only truth you know is what you get over this tube. Right now, there is an entire generation that never knew anything that didn't come out of this tube. This tube is the gospel, the ultimate revelation. This tube can make or break presidents, popes, prime ministers. This tube is the most awesome goddamn force in the whole godless world. And woe is us if it ever falls into the hands of the wrong people. And that's why woe is us that Edward George Ruddy died. So you listen to me. Listen to me. Television is not the truth. Television is a goddamn amusement park. Television is a circus, a carnival, a traveling troupe of acrobats, storytellers, dancers, singers, jugglers, sideshow freaks, lion tamers, and football players. We're in the boredom-killing business. So if you want the truth, go to God. Go to your gurus. Go to yourselves. Because that's the only place you're ever going to find any real truth. But man, you're never going to get any truth from us. We deal in illusions, man. None of it is true. But you people sit there day after day, night after night, all ages, colors, creeds. We're all you know. You're beginning to believe the illusions we're spinning here. You're beginning to think that the tube is reality and that your own lives are unreal. You do whatever the tube tells you. You dress like the tube. You eat like the tube. You raise your children like the tube. You even think like the tube. This is mass madness, you maniacs. In God's name, you people are the real thing. We are the illusion.
Right, I do like that network clip.
Yes.
I actually do like it, because this is 1976, and this is mainstream TV, this is American TV, this is a universal release, telling you that this is illusion. This is nothing more than a fairground.
Yeah.
But it's not fair.
No,
This is nothing more than an amusement park. You won't get the truth from us. You won't get the truth from anybody who wants your money. This is what we've tried to do over the weeks that we've been doing these shows live.
Yeah.
We've tried to say, people, I'm not here to tell you that anybody else you listen to is telling you the truth or telling you falsehood. But I'm going to try and say it in a different way. And that is that the people who want to fight the court system, the paying your bills, paying your mortgage, credit cards, loans, whatever it is that you want to fight, okay? Why are you fighting a disadvantage that you're refusing to pay those bills? So the disadvantage to you as the fighter is that you're having to be on the defensive all the time because you've given them a reason to attack you. Why don't you pay your bills and then challenge the system as well? Because I've heard many people say, I can pay my bills, but I choose not to.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
you put yourself in a corner and you're having to forever defend.
Yeah.
Now, you're pretending that you're attacking, but really, you're defending their advance. That's what's happening.
Yeah.
So if you can pay your bills, pay them and fight without having to defend from the first opening blow.
Yeah.
So when someone says they can pay the bills that they choose not to, just ask yourself, is that the best position to fight from? Because it isn't.
No.
Now, if they said the truth, that they're fighting the system because they can't pay their bills,
Yeah.
then at least you would know. At least you would know.
You would. That was the reason why.
Too many people go on this box for reasons that they don't declare. You and I will never ask for money.
No.
We won't ever worry about how many subscribers we have.
No.
We won't ever be concerned by the comments that you leave. I actually got called a disinfo agent recently. Now, I think that is the first time the way I speak has been questioned, and I must just be a disinfo agent. I was sort of happy about that in a way. In a way, I was happy about it, because it doesn't matter. Your names are never going to hurt me. They're going to make me laugh, and they're going to make me check out your YouTube channel, and we're going to look and see how many shows have you made. Who are you? Or are you an invisible, strangely named superhero who is only a legend in your own living room? Is that who you really are? Have a good life pretending, because that's what you've been doing so far, and you still haven't stopped doing it. Let's go for a second story, which is linked to our first story.
It certainly
this,
is,
again, is current. The Facebook links for you and I will be below the YouTube video that you're now listening to. All the stories are on my Facebook page. All of them. I won't link them up. They're just on the page. Please feel free to have a look at my psychological profile, because that's what Facebook is. It is your psychological profile, and you've given it for free. As long as you're aware of that, be true to yourself. If you've never been aware of that, open a second Facebook account in a fake superhero name and kid yourself that they won't know. Kid yourself they won't know. Story number 2 from the bombshell breaking Telegraph.
Guardian, actually.
The Guardian.
Yeah, it's the Guardian.
All right, whatever if the Guardian says it, if the Guardian says 50, it'll be 5,000.
Yeah.
Wrong way around. If the Guardian says, if the real truth is 50, the Guardian will say 5,000.
Yeah, it's not doing a very good job at Guardianers anyway, is it?
Guardians are what we all are.
We are, yes.
You're not going to be parents, you're going to be parents. Parents is what you're going to. You're going to rent everything. This is a rental store that you're moving into. You're going to hand over your energy. You're going to hand it over, and you're going to get something that will be stored into the cloud. Okay? You will not have physical CDs or DVDs or, as we used to say, cassette tapes or records. You will not have. We're going to a paperless. Okay? Otherwise you'll pay, but you're going to get less. Less each one. You won't have an insurance policy. You'll no longer have a bank statement or a phone bill. It'll all come through your email or, well, through your computer, won't. Okay? So you'll actually pay the same or more and get less of a service. That's what we're going to. It's going to be paperless. And it's good for you, because you're going to pay and get less. Yeah, you pay less. Sorry, you pay for less, which means they get more. It's like the old adage, isn't it? The power companies are saying, we want to help you make your homes more energy efficient. Okay? And each one of us, we've accepted to be regulated to allocate £40 for each of our customers. Okay? Out of all the accounts we've got, £40 per year has to be allocated to helping people who can't afford to insulate their homes. Okay? We've already done the maths on this, and it's really simple. Because if we can help you save 7-8% on your fuel bill, you'll be very grateful for us. And we're glad to have helped. Right after we jack up the bill 11%.
11%.
Yep. Okay? Pay more, get less. All right? So we take with one, well, we give with one hand and take just a little more with the other.
More, yeah.
And now we actually have a boiler scheme. Is your boiler breaking? Can you not afford to replace? You leave it to us. We, with the government's help, will get you a brand new fuel-efficient boiler. Run to the hills. Run to the hills, screaming. This is like the pub game, where you sign up to Punch Taverns or whatever, Punch Taverns, Entrepreneur Inns or whatever they're called. But you're tied. You're tied to who you buy your product from.
You are, yeah.
They don't do anything for free.
For free, no.
There is no such thing as a free lunch. Back to the Guardian.
Yeah, links in with what...
look at the papers' names. The Guardian,
again.
The Observer, The Spectator.
Yeah.
We've even got a one called Punch, haven't we?
Yeah.
The Sun, the Express, the Mirror. In our decode of the language. That's what... It's obvious why they're called all these things, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
But the highbrows, the Guardians, the Observer and the Spectator.
Yeah.
The blue tops, as it
Blue
were.
tops, yeah.
It's always red and blue, isn't it? Always red versus blue.
Yeah.
And we turn one tap on and turn the other, and we just get just the right temperature. Like the three bloody bears, isn't it?
We've already had Cinderella. Might as well have three bears. Little Red Riding Hood and a lot of them.
Look, I keep stopping you doing this now. Don't let me.
No,
it's your fault for not stopping me.
It's the Guardian. Durham police uncover paedophile ring with more than 500 potential victims.
Now, the angle we want to take here is a little bit different to what most people are doing.
Yeah.
Because we're trying to answer the question, why are we being subjected to so many paedophile stories?
Yes, at this moment in time.
And they're almost relentless, aren't they?
They are.
They're relentless.
Yeah.
We actually feel somehow that the discovery of all these well, what appear to be secretive collectives of Jimmy Saviles.
Yeah.
You know, how many Jimmys are there in the world? Well, I want to link it to the first story, which is about kids getting to choose. Because once kids can choose, in other words, once the parents are fearful of stopping the children on some things, the kids will use the adage that they've been using for years. You can't hit me, or I'll have you.
Yeah.
You can't hit me, or I'll report you.
Yeah.
And that's where the taunting came from children, wasn't it? You can't hit me, you know. You can't hit me. You can't hit me. I can say what I want. You can't hit me. You can't put your hands on me. You can't touch me. Well, this is going to be in their own home, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
This is the level. The story number one is the level of you can't do anything because I'm going to tell the teacher. You can't do anything because I'm going to ring Esther Ranson and she's got an interesting past as well.
Yes.
You can't do anything because I'm going to go to police because there'll be a helpline. There'll be something there for them. I'll tell you, and it'll be school. School is the link because this is the poisonous breakup of the family.
It is.
Bit by bit, isn't it?
Yeah.
Now back to this paedophile story, and it would appear that paedophilia has been going on a long, long time.
Yeah.
And I think we only have to look back in history to realise that did it ever stop? Is there an appetite out there from a certain group of people that they actually... Well, the answer appears to be yes, there is an appetite out there.
It does appear to be that way,
and it also appears to be the way to adopt new compromised people and place them into positions of influence.
Yes.
So if kiddie fiddling was your thing, and you managed to be contacted and recruited into a group that enjoy doing these sort of things, then the chances are that not only will you get to enjoy what it is that perhaps can only be done in secret and behind closed doors, but you'll get rewarded with a position of influence.
Yes, because of it.
Because of it. In other words, to join the club,
Yeah.
you've got to pass the initiation test.
Yeah.
So we're now learning, and we are just young, aren't we? We are young in our understanding of ourselves. You know, I mean, I've learnt a lot about the 1650s through 1800s, about how life was in the north of England, how ruthless and hard and difficult it was, and how we probably didn't live much after 40. And yet we've said that 40 was that magic turning point, or 40-something, was the magic turning point where you can look back at a life that you've had so far, and you can judge it. You can judge your failures as your successes. You can judge your mistakes and where you would have... You can do all that, but only when you get to sort of 35, 40, 45. In the 1600s and 1700s, for all the lorded and gentry were living to good old ages of 70 and 80 like they always have, the working classes were exhausted, 45 or before.
Yep.
And because we had to work so darn hard, and because the majority of people couldn't read and couldn't write to any standard at all, we've never had access to what we've got today.
No.
And what we've got today is access to almost too much.
It is, yeah.
We've got access to everything.
We're bombarded with it, aren't we? Yeah.
We've been drowned in everything. We've been given almost everything too much.
Yeah.
We had too much access to credit, and now we've got too much access to information.
Yeah.
And because they know us so well...
Know us, yeah.
Well, exactly, Knower. They know us so well.
And the other Knower.
Exactly, exactly.
It's just in the news, in the Russell Crowe.
Yeah, but I mean, even the American Weather Service is called NOAA, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
It's not connected. Okay, nothing's connected in this
No,
world.
no.
All things are happenstance and coincidence. And if you believe that, you've got a long way to go, because everything is connected. Back to the paedophile gang.
But that fits with the fear. We're ruled by fear, and that's what's happening here with paedophiles. It's making us fearful of letting our children out, and where, who they can mix with and who they can go with.
Well, if we don't know them,
and
we must suspect that they are criminals.
Yeah,
they are paedophiles. I mean, this is working twofold. First of all, particularly men, because the world thinks that if all paedophiles are mostly men, then all men have the ability to be paedophiles. So it makes women suspicious of men. First, it's the same problem with rapists, same problem with bank robbers. Okay, the guys are more often guilty of these things than the girls are, because we're made different. But let's not get off track. The reason why we're being bombarded with paedophile stories, we know the press is controlled. So there's a reason for this.
There is a reason,
and you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
This is to scare the parents to death. That even if people are saying there's not a paedophile in every corner, how can you be sure? How can you be sure? Yeah, how can you keep your children away, well away? In fact, you keep your children forever in your eyesight unless they're at slave training camp. You never let them out of your eyesight until they're 15. How's that? Now, I was let out of my parents' eyesight when I was 7 and 8.
Yeah.
And I went on adventures.
I did, yeah.
And I didn't miss my mum and dad.
No. In fact, they missed you more. Where have you been? I've been shouting you.
Exactly. So, are we really creating 15-year-olds? With the adventure of a 6-year-old? The answer's yes, isn't it?
It certainly is.
Because they'd rather spend time in their bedrooms. Now, most people who have learned me before know that I've got a fish and chip shop. and I get mums and dads in here all the time, and I always say hello to the kids, because why wouldn't you? That's what friendly, nice, normal people do. All right?
Yeah.
Don't get hung up on what regular people do. Regular people are nice to people they haven't met before, who come in the shop and want to spend some money with them. So I always say, hello mum, hello dad, and who's this? And depending on how old they are, depends on how I carry on the conversation.
Yeah.
This is normal, isn't it? This is completely normal. But the kids' reaction nowadays is half a little uncomfortable, but will speak to me. And once they relax and mum and dad say it's okay, then I can talk to the kids. But the other half hide behind mum's skirt, and they will not talk to me. They are bloody terrified. Now, I'm not a terrifying sort of guy, really.
No.
You know, I mean, in my previous life, not that I'm saying I've been reincarnated, but I haven't had a chip shop all my life. In my previous life, I used to be a children's entertainer, amongst other things, but doing parties for children was a big part of what I did every week. So, it's not that I'm approaching children in a way that is frightening for them. By the by, it's not about me. This paedophile story, it makes parents wrap the kids in an even thicker layer of cotton wool.
It does, yeah.
It makes the kids nervous of everybody that the parents haven't recommended.
Yeah. And it makes the parents nervous.
And it makes the parents nervous.
Yeah. Bath time, getting them dressed, all that kind of thing.
I mean, remember bath time.
Food time,
Remember bath time.
I remember bath
in today's
time.
modern life, we all have a shower. There's clean water for everybody.
Yes.
That's not the way it used to be,
no,
is it?
it isn't. Not
It
so
isn't.
long ago either. You're only talking the 80s, and my two... my wife was nursing, so she was on late shift. It was my job to get the kids in the bath and get them ready for bed. So rather than run 2 baths, I jumped in the bath with the kids. We all got washed, and while we're getting washed, questions were asked.
But in today's modern world, if Dad, was in the bath with his 5-6-year-old daughter, well, let's have a survey. We can't have one here, but let's have a survey and find out. Correct. Should be stopped. What do you think the answers would be?
Yeah.
You see, it was fine 20, 30 years ago.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure now, if we had a survey, can Dad share the same bath as his 5 or 6-year-old daughter? What do you think the figures would be?
It'd be 90% that'd say no, I would have said.
I would have said so as well.
Yeah. But it was normal. That was our evening. When Mum was on lates, that was the procedure. Because they were in my control. It wasn't one bath in and the other not bathing and not knowing where the other one was.
But another part of this paedophile story is that because we believe that the world is particularly the guys, are all paedophiles, it allows the control system to make allegations against anybody that they want.
Yes, it does, yeah.
We found images on the computer as regards young children.
Yeah.
And people say, oh, another one. There's no other thinking process in there about, that can't be true. That can't be true. It's like, we've swung a world round now where you are guilty unless you can prove yourself innocent.
Yeah.
We've come to the point now where you can have a £30 or £60 speeding or parking fine or whatever. And they say, you're paying it. You're paying it. You say, well, I don't want to pay it. They say, well, go get a solicitor and take us on. Costs you more to defend yourself than a bloody ticket.
It does, yeah.
So you go to court and defend yourself, and if you use any of the arsed ideas on here,
yeah, it's going to cost you.
It's going to cost you a bit more. I mean, Santos has come out of court today, and I've only watched a little clip, and I understand that the hearing was a short hearing. It was basically, the judge says you're paying. He listened to what Santos had to say and thanked him for whatever it is he'd produced and given him, which he didn't accept, and then stamped a gavel and said, see you July if you haven't paid. From what I understand.
Crikey.
The paedophilia thing is now starting to make an awful lot of sense.
It is to us, yeah.
It is.
I remember us having the conversation. Why now?
Why now? You said it. Why now? Why now?
Why is it suddenly? Why are they exposing everybody?
Yeah.
And pushing it onto celebrity.
Yeah.
These MPs were pushing it, and the papers were pushing it to celebrity.
It's the people who you trusted.
Yeah.
It's the very people who were. Well, of course it is. If you've got a shoe fetish, be a shoe salesman. If you've got an interest in kids, you've got to get involved in the people that work with young kids. The SS. If you want to fiddle with kids, you join the social services. I'm not saying that that's true on all levels, but I'm saying if you want to get involved in close proximity with kids and you want to fiddle with kids, then you've got to go where there's lots of them, because that's where your like will be. I'm not saying anybody in social services does that, but that's where they'll be. That's where they'll be. Obviously, school teachers and that sort of thing, but that's where they'll be.
Yeah.
Because you're attracted to that. You know, we learn that people are attracted to certain jobs because of the contact it gives them. Now, whether it's networking with professional connections, or whether it's making contacts that are young children. You know, the abuse towards young children is from the very care services, more often than not, that are meant to be looking after them. Because that's where the people are who want to get up to no good. It's difficult to understand this world until you see it for the simple way it works.
Working. Yeah.
It works the way it always worked. The complexity is because of the amount of lies you've got to sift through to get to the simple way it works. People tell lies to cover up things that they don't want you to know. And you look at, we've got two sets of people. We've got makers and we've got takers.
And fakers.
They're on both sides. They're on both sides.
Yeah.
Some people think they're making it and some people think they're taking it. But you're right, but makers and takers is what we have. There's those that produce and there's those that don't produce. Government produces nothing.
Doesn't.
It can only produce more of itself. It doesn't have any other ability at all. The government can only make more of itself because it's never ever made anything else. The government cannot provide jobs. It can create departments and employ people, but these aren't jobs.
No.
And the reason why they aren't jobs is because for every job the government actually creates, it needs at least 2 to 3 working people to pay that salary, because they are not producing anything of wealth that can be resold as value. So when you see a government department opening here and they're employing 300 people, that's 900 people to pay those wages.
Yeah.
Don't celebrate. Don't get excited.
No, it's going to cost you.
It's going to cost 900 people.
Yeah.
Which is a bit like the benefit system, isn't it? The benefit system, I mean, it's so prickly to get to talk about the benefit system because we're all on the path to be poor.
Yeah.
So it's prickly to talk about the system because we've now got to a point where a working man can go and submit his 40 hours and the exchange that he's given for the labour is not enough to provide for himself and a small family.
Yeah. And the system does let you have as many kids as you want. I mean, we have situations of people having 10, 11, 12...
But is that right?
Well...
Now, is it?
But on my Grandma Arch, which was my mum's mum... my mum's grandma...
Yep.
She had 19 kids, but only 9 of them survived.
But, hang on, but who was paying for them?
They were paying for them.
This is the difference.
That was the difference. The state, there was no state child benefit or anything in those times.
You see, I accept.
Yeah.
Do what you want, as long as you can afford it.
As long as you
can afford it.
But the younger ones were contributing to their family income as well. Whereas now,
well, that's why they had so many, wasn't it?
That was
because families were businesses.
You had to run it as a little business. Everybody had a little job to do. And even the younger ones had to do something. Well, we couldn't do nothing.
But we haven't learned from those that have learned. When houses were in the 50s and 60s, when houses were within the reach, or they came within the reach of the working class, and we started to buy houses in big numbers for the first time.
Yeah.
You know, in the 50s, for some it started, and in the 60s it became a real possibility for an awful lot of people. Yeah. And those houses were less than £2,000, and even by the end of the 60s, they were still not much over £3,000. So that was a whole decade plus to be able to buy houses. And we look at what they were earning, and what we've done this before. What people were earning was, we'll go to the earliest example that I've given before, which is the house was £1,810, and the male income for that house purchase was about £18 a week. Am I right on that? I think about £18
Yeah,
a
it
week.
will be, yeah.
Something
Yeah.
like that. So it was basically... No, it was more than that, wasn't it? I can't have another show.
Yeah, well,
But I remember...
about £30 a week.
I can't remember.
Yeah,
Well,
something around there.
I remember it's been somewhere along the lines of... It was only 3 or 4 years to buy the house. 3 or 4 years income
Yeah.
to buy the house. It was within most people's reach. Loans, we didn't have loans. Not loans as we understand them today. Going to the banks and getting a loan to buy a house was relatively new, you know. In the 50s, it still wasn't for everybody.
No.
But it was only 3 or 4 or 5 years to buy the house. The income required.
Yeah, that was my parents.
Whereas nowadays...
Their 3-bedroom house was about £2,000.
Yeah, but nowadays, the income is, for some, 8, 9, 10. Okay, 8, 9, 10 times.
Yeah. You're just never going to pay it off, are you?
No, you're not, because every time you move house, you have to start a mortgage again as well.
Yeah, you do.
You actually start another 25-year death pledge.
Yeah. I'm up to 70.
But what I was saying was that
right up to
in the 50s and 60s, some people realised that this was a big advantage. And some people I know, or one person I know I'm thinking of, their parents realised that houses were the way forward. And after they'd bought their own, they bought another 2 houses and gave each of them to their 2 children, one to one and one to another. Now, those 2 children didn't get an easy life. Those 2 in the younger days were almost working within the family business at 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years old. So it wasn't that they were denied what hard work was. They were shown what hard work was, and they were shown what hard work can give you.
Yeah.
Very much what we were saying at the beginning of the show.
Yeah.
If you want to teach your kids, spend twice as much time and half as much money. And you might just get a chance. And, this person's parents that I'm thinking of did that. And both those kids now who are, obviously near my age, really, they weren't spoiled. They're not spoiled people. It's not a privilege they had. It was an advantage. And it's a shame that we don't see life like that anymore.
Yeah.
To give our kids an advantage is to try and release them from the debt or the shackles that debt bring about.
Yeah.
To release those shackles is to, when we first started this journey, we knew that stop playing the money game, stop chasing the money.
Yeah.
That's the first level of how we felt more free, wasn't it?
Yeah, was, yeah.
I'm sick of playing this game. It's
yeah.
for mucks.
Yeah, I've got enough to survive, and that's enough.
But when we really meant it, when we understood how important it was, life started to change.
Did, yeah.
Imagine the advantage if you didn't have the debt shackles on. Imagine the freedom you have to move around and enjoy some more of living, as opposed to forever paying, a never ending, always rising death pledge that we call a mortgage. That's what I mean about giving your kids an advantage.
Yeah.
But don't bloody well spoil them.
No, that's definitely the wrong way to go about it.
When I watch TV, it's just some shows that are pretend, and when you explore, you get more imagination than you already had, and when you get more imagination, it makes you want to go deeper in, so you can get more and see beautiful things. Like the path. If it's a path, it could lead you to a beach or something, and it could be beautiful.
I remember picturing the actual little girl in that, and she is a pretty little blonde-haired girl. She really is.
Right, yeah.
And just thinking about the world that we have now for children, thinking about the world that's been built and the evil that is now woven into a system to break up the families, to destroy what we know has got us this far.
Yeah.
Because it is a family, love, protection and strength, and the instinct to detect attacks and defend ourselves, and to unite into tribes and be successful because of it. And all those instincts have been eliminated until we become defenceless and helpless, until we don't recognise any predators. And the word predator is because they've been around a long time.
Yeah.
They've been around a long time. I've read enough now. Charles Galton Darwin confirms there's always been slavery. We're 200 to 300 years ahead. 10 generations is where we plan. We know where we want to go.
Mm.
And we don't always know the method we're going to get there, but we are going to get there because we employ the price system the best to get us there. Because that is our stated aim. And although the path may not be, it may be a bit of a long and winding road, it's a road and we're on it. And they will not deviate off the path. And to destroy life as we know it, destroy the family unit, to reduce the very population of this planet to a manageable level. We can argue about, so do we actually just keep letting everybody breed until we've got maybe billions of people with nothing to do? That's not a sensible argument. But the fact is, we're not really being consulted, are we?
No.
But are we? You see, the argument never stops, does it? The argument never stops because we have found out relatively easily that there is a control system.
There is,
and
yeah.
it does make decisions without our consent.
It certainly does.
And it does decide our destiny without us knowing.
It makes you think the things, and then we think them. We think we've thought them up, but we haven't. They've been put in there, and then we speak it into reality.
Yeah. But now we understand that there is an overarching hand.
Mm. Yeah.
There is.
All these, the Guardian, the
You see,
Observer, the BBC, the ITV, Channel 4,
Do
all
they
of them.
tell us or not?
Mm-hmm.
You see?
Yeah.
Do they? And now you get to a next level. Well, okay. If you and I have figured this out, then we can live in such a way to avoid some of the more obvious pitfalls. You avoid, to filter your water, try and get access to what you might call better food, although I'm not sure that's very easy.
No, that's not easy at all.
Maintain cash.
Mm-hmm.
Try and spend locally. Don't waste your time on people who won't listen.
Mm-hmm.
Don't think you can save the planet. Get the fluoride out of your water and get it out of your toothpaste. And try and spend time to educate your kids on things that really matter.
Mm-hmm.
We've learned those things. Well, if you listen to this, are you doing that? Because if you're not really doing those things, if you're still popping down about the fast food shop, if you're still spending your money with the big chains, if most of the things in your house have got made in China, made in Japan, made in Thailand, made in India, whatever, well, you're not really, you're saying one thing and doing another.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I understand it's very difficult to buy everything we need locally with a UK flag on it. But you can't be against everything. We meet people who are, everything's a conspiracy.
Yes.
The answer's no. Now, what is it you're going to talk to me about today? They really have gone to the far end of the scale.
They have, yeah.
We look at our controllers who want to deny us the ability to succeed on one hand, but there are plenty up there who don't mind helping us if we help ourselves. Then we look at the people that at the lower end, and they just rage at the world.
Mm.
Well, that's not going to fix it. It's going to drive you mad. We've concentrated very much on the kids this evening, and that little girl. It's a lovely clip, and just thinking about her makes me feel a little bit differently, because she's a pretty little girl, probably 5, 6 or 7, but she understands depth already.
Yeah.
She understands depth through reading and seeing. She understands observation, and being able to translate it into words is depth. She understands more than most people I've ever met, and she's probably 6 or 7 years old.
Yeah.
There are little gems all over the place, and those little gems are the difference between the lights going out permanently
They will, yeah.
or staying on.
And these...
And you know that those little gems are all children right now.
They are.
They're all children right now. Because this fight that you and I are trying to show people will not come to its final battle for some time to come yet.
Yeah.
Will there be a final day? Will there be a judgment day? Will there be a turning point? Will there be a day in history when it all changes? Probably not.
No.
But it's already here.
Judgment
Day is already here for us.
It is, and it's been pushed by these people that we call so-called servants. And you've got an article there.
When you get something like this, you couldn't, could you? You just couldn't.
And she's not come out and...
this witch, Patricia Hewitt.
Yeah.
This witch here. Okay, in the Express. We can't prove sex with children does them harm. Now, I'll tell you, that it makes me shiver, that line. And I'll tell you why, because I had a guy in my fish and chip shop about maybe a year ago. And I can't remember if I was talking about Jimmy Savile, but it's more than likely I was talking about the Jimmy Savile case that was being highlighted, because it really did cover an awful lot of last year, didn't it?
Did, yeah.
It really did. It started in the summertime and never stopped, and all sorts of names have been bandied around and connected to him. So I'm pretty sure I was talking about the Jimmy Savile case, about how the BBC knew it was going on, because even in the world that I used to live in the 80s, we knew Jimmy Savile was we knew what he was up to, but we couldn't prove it. So you can't speak those things because you don't know, but you suspect it, and then you meet him, and you see him for what he is, and you know it's true. You just know it's true. The guy makes your skin crawl. Okay, you feel cold stood next to him. You don't want to stand next to him because he doesn't even smell pleasant. And I can say those things because I've met him. Okay, I didn't speak to him. It was a function that we were at, but he was there. He was at the club. He was at the club mixing with the kids. Mr. Jimmy Savile. And now I know what I know. Everything I saw that night makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
But this guy who came in the shop, this guy who came in the shop to finish the story, he was listening, and when I finished talking, he actually said the lines, I actually was abused when I was younger, and it didn't do me any harm. Those were the very words he said. And I had to stop myself from running round to where the customers are and smacking him on the nose end. Because my entire being said, only somebody who's been abused and is now an abuser would say that.
He sees that as normal. That's normal behaviour to him.
Yes, only an abused abuser would say that. And this bloody witch, Patricia Hewitt, I don't know, but I'm looking at her. I'm looking at her, and she looks like a bloody witch. We can't prove sex with children does them harm.
I know.
How can the place we live, the world we live, the country we live, accept that is okay for Patricia Hewitt to say it? Because is she going to get in trouble?
It seems not.
No, she's not.
No,
because tomorrow there'll be more news.
Yeah.
Now let's just go with this, shall we? If Patricia Hewitt can say we can't prove sex with children does them harm, I could say, please may I apply for a grant to ask them if it does. I've just legally been allowed to have sex with children.
Horrible.
There is a guy in this
Absolutely
country
horrible.
who's actually fighting a lone battle.
There is, yeah.
He's got a lot of support, but you know what?
Pie and Mash Films. Check it out on YouTube.
When it comes down to it, the guy who's prepared to stand there and be counted is Mr. Bill Maloney.
It is. He is. And we've met him.
We have met him.
He's the most genuine guy you could ever meet. There's what you see is what you get.
It is.
No airs and graces with him.
If you haven't seen the Nick Clegg approach, the storming the
it was Bill
the
Maloney,
photo op,
Bill Maloney
Sonia.
and Sonia Poulton.
It was. If you haven't seen the Bill Maloney and Sonia and the camera crew storming Nick Clegg's photo op, it's on my Facebook page.
It is.
And there's not much more to say about that hasn't been said, or it's easy for you to see. But the factor is,
it shows the cowardice of these MPs.
That they have no answer.
They do not.
See,
and
the lies
they will
versus
not engage you in conversation.
Lies versus the truth. The truth wins every time.
Yes.
Because the lies cannot put out... Dark can't put out a light.
It can't.
It cannot. The darkness cannot switch a light off.
No.
So they don't try. They don't try.
No. And he's a knight in shining armour, is Bill Maloney. You could see him walk up to Nick Clegg, and that scam of a picture, it was... The only thing you could see was it was taken from a different perspective than the cameras that the BBC were showing.
It looked like he had a lot of friends.
It made it look like he had loads of people there, and they'd gathered them all up and put it in a narrow angle lens, and put it into a narrow angle lens. But from the pictures that Sonia were taking and Bill Maloney, the people that were following him there, you could see it was a sham. It was a made up. Even the people there were probably actors. They weren't even real, I don't think. And the way Nick Clegg and Danny Alexander walked away from it and would not engage, looking down at the shoes, they were embarrassed. They were embarrassed, and good for Bill Maloney for making them feel embarrassed.
We're in a war, aren't we?
Yeah.
We're actually in a war.
Mm-hmm.
And we've been in a war all our lives. And it's us versus them.
It is
And
us versus them.
I have no respect for MPs.
no.
And the little clip at the beginning of this YouTube
beginning
is
clip.
Giles Brandreth
It is.
on Have I Got the News for You? Or Have I Got News for You? And it's from 2011, and he clearly tells you. He clearly makes no mistake. He's not slightly bit embarrassed about telling you. You might hate MPs, but that is nothing, and I mean nothing, compared to what they think of you. We live in a world, and we all know we do now, that runs on war, which basically is death and debt.
Yeah.
That's what war brings.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, soldiers knock stuff down,
Yeah.
and then big business puts it back up again.
Yeah. At interest. With interest.
At the country's cost that they've
Yeah.
just knocked down.
Yeah.
It's like the tide coming in. You spent all day building sandcastles,
Yeah.
but you know the tide's coming in. So you don't invest too much of real money into the sandcastle. Right? But countries, we're talking about countries being levelled virtually
Yeah.
until they submit to the global banking magnates.
Yep. Syria being one of them.
Oh, it's going to get it.
It's, yeah.
There's no doubt about it.
Definitely going to get it, yeah.
I mean, as you said, we can talk about this plane carry-on, which is a hoax, it's a farce. I'm pretty sure people have been lost somewhere along the lines.
Oh, yeah.
But why spend time on
lost
something we
lives.
don't know and can't prove?
No, I know.
We know that it'll be used as a political advantage, a tool to blame others,
It will, yeah.
or it's been left that it was an accident. Who knows? But the fact that it took so long for us to even get the next part of the narrative tells us that somebody was been held accountable for it.
Yeah.
Whether they did or didn't do it doesn't matter. In today's political landscape, whether you've done it or not doesn't matter. It's whether we can make people think you've done it.
Yeah.
It's a war. And it's our children they want.
It is our
It's our
children's
children's minds.
Yeah.
And they're too far down the road now
And through the
for us to give up.
and through the threats of paedophilia and Cinderella law and all these things, slowly,
And the tablets.
yeah,
And the tablets.
and the tablets.
You know, I
keep taking
just
your tablets.
just a week last Saturday, and I don't want to give too much away because this gentleman's only just started talking to me, and he's a pharmacist locally, not local to Ripon, but locally, and I'll leave it at that. And we always have a little chat when we've got a minute, because I know he's a pharmacist, and he's got no, I'm not giving that away. I was going to describe a little bit about him and his family there, but I'm not going to do that now. Anyway, I can't finish what I was going to say. We talk quite a lot. I know he's a pharmacist, he talks back to me. I've asked him to come, and he won't come on the radio. And I understand why. He's got a family. He's got a family and commitments.
Got bills to pay,
But
yeah.
after talking to him a number of times, I said to him, hey, next time you come, you give me something. Give me something that I can use. You always agree with what I'm saying. You always nod and say, yes, I see that. And you give me something. And he came in the week last Saturday. And I said, it's your turn to bring something. Have you brought something? And he said, yeah, I have. And as one or two people left and the shop became a little quieter, he said, I want to tell you about something. And I've got a website here. And I want to tell you about something called Ritalin, which is designed to cause holes in brains. And they knew it did in the 60s. And now it's the number one drug to be given to children who are disruptive. And with that, he was gone. I said, what about Adderall? He said, you know about Adderall? I said, well, I don't know about it, but I know it's part of the group. And he said, well, you know about Adderall. And with that, he was gone. My thanks to him. He didn't tell me something that I didn't know.
But he confirmed something.
But for him,
yes,
that was a step forward.
Yeah.
And if we all tried to make a little step forward, in doing the right thing, and we only have to start talking about it. We don't have to lay blame at people's doors. We don't have to make outrageous claims. We just have to go along with the lines of, at this moment in time, what appears to be what's happening, what appears to be the truth, is this. And we must at some point say we don't want that.
We must.
The newspapers are manufactured consent. They manufacture consent by our apathy, ignorance, or downright frustration. We think there's nothing we can do. Individually they're right. That's why they gang together, form a party and make the rules. There never was anything stopping us doing it.
No.
To gang together, to form a party and to try and push back the rules.
Take back our power.
And the fact is that everyone thinks we have to have a manifesto and agree on everything. This is rubbish.
It is.
We have to agree that where we're going is not where we want to go.
No, it isn't. No.
And then we have to have a number of people willing to be educated about what money's really for. Replacing the politicians isn't as hard as you think.
No, it shouldn't be.
It shouldn't be hard, really.
No,
okay.
They've just got rid of Holland, haven't they? They've made him resign. But take your power back. When all this thing about taking your kids on holiday as well now, you can't take them out of school. You've got to take them in the school holidays. And these blooming holiday companies jack the prices up. We never took our kids on holiday during the school holidays. We always took them out of the school holidays, and I wrote a letter to the school to say that we're taking them on holiday, and it's the only time I can take them, it's the only time I can afford it. And we're not taking them on holiday, we're taking them for an extended education.
You can't get away with that now, by the way.
An extended education. I wrote this letter to the headmaster. I don't care. Do it. Write the letter. Write your letter. Send it to the headmaster or the headmistress and say you're taking them on an educational holiday. Not on a holiday. You're taking them to further their education. We're taking them to somewhere else where they speak a different language. They're going to learn how to speak that language. They're going to learn a new currency and write it all down. And you tell them and ram it down the throat and say, no, my kid's going on holiday with us when we can afford it.
Or
kids, not yours.
Or you could go to parent-teachers meetings. You could go to the PTA. You can get yourself voted onto the PTA.
You can.
You can question the teachers and say, right, you lot. Okay, you think you've got the right to make rules about what we can and can't do. So, in the terms of contract and agreement, let's have a few. Let's have a few from you.
And let's see where I signed
Let's have a few from you, shall we? Let's not have you just making rules because somebody said you can. Let's not have them being selectively enforced. Let's have a little bit of a discussion about, all right, you want to impose those rules upon us. We'll get all the parents here, we'll have a little vote on it, and we'll decide if you can.
That's it. Get your parents together.
We'll decide if you bloody well can.
Yes,
and if we all say you can't, then, and you say you can, we'll realise that you're not listening. So now we'll look at this relationship a little bit differently. Because now this relationship appears to be, you are in charge and we are subservient. Well, we're not happy about that. So how about we fine you 60 quid for every one of the lessons you miss? How about you get fined for not doing your job? How about you give us a guarantee? If you want to win the next election, I've told everybody I can think of how to do it. If you want to win, if they want to go with, we've fooled you 4 times previously, so let's go for a 5th. Tony Blair did it twice. Gordon Brown did it once, okay? Then Cameron did
Cameron's done it.
So let's go for Nigel Farage on number 5. We're going to give you an in-out on Europe. All right, Nigel, we've heard this before. All right? If you're going to fool me again, you're not having it this time. What guarantees have I got, Nigel? What guarantee have I got? Let's go with a, I'll vote for you if you guarantee me this. In 3 months' time, should you get in, you will offer the UK or England or whatever an in-out referendum on Europe. And he'll say, I've already said I will, but I want a guarantee. Well, my word is my bond. You're a politician, you're a liar. That's not true. So how about, Nigel, if you're absolutely convinced and you want to win this election, how about you make that promise and add on to it, if I do not uphold this election manifesto promise, I will give everybody who voted for me £1,000. If he was 100% sure that he was going to do it, he'd have no problem saying, where do I sign? Would he?
No, he wouldn't. No.
Do you think he'll ever do that? Of course he bloody well won't.
No, because he's paid by the EU.
Who decides if we're in or out of Europe? Bloody Europe decides.
Europe decides.
Europe decides. Yeah. Don't be fooled, boys and germs, because these people are playing the game of their lives. Their fun is our suffering.
It is. Look
their
at Greece,
fun is our confusion.
It is, yeah.
When the bully threatens to smack your face in at 9 o'clock in the morning, all right, he's not going to smack your face in at break time. He's going to get you on the way home because he wants you to suffer all day. And his minions, right, his minions who hide behind the bully, they only get their power from winning fights. So the bully always picks a fight that he can win, and his minions aren't frightened to join in and say, ha 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 ha, you're going to get it, right? So they always pick on the weakest in society. All right, the bully never picked on the centre half of the football team, did he? He never picked on the striker, did he? Yeah. No, he didn't. He picked on the weakest. Well, that's what's happening with us. They pick on the weakest, and it makes them look strongest because what they've got behind them is weaker than those they're picking on.
Yeah.
This is the bully's power. It's bloody illusion.
It is.
For another Tuesday. My name's Paul.
My name's Andy.
And if you've enjoyed listening to us, we'll do another show.
We'll try.
Sometime soon. Bye for now.
We have an obligation to every last victim of this illegal aggression because all of this carnage has been done in our name. Since World War II, 90% of the casualties of war are unarmed civilians, a third of them children. Our victims have done nothing to us. From Palestine to Afghanistan to Iraq to Somalia to wherever our next target may be, their murders are not collateral damage. They are the nature of modern warfare. They don't hate us because of our freedoms. They hate us because every day we are funding and committing crimes against humanity. The so-called war on terror is a cover for our military aggression to gain control of the resources of Western Asia. This is sending the poor of this country to kill the poor of those Muslim countries. This is trading blood for oil. This is genocide. And to most of the world, we are the terrorists. In these times, remaining silent on our responsibility to the world and its future is criminal. And in light of our complicity in the supreme crimes against humanity in Iraq and Afghanistan and ongoing violations of the UN Charter and international law, how dare any American criticize the actions of legitimate resistance to illegal occupation? Our so-called enemies in Afghanistan, Iraq, Palestine, our other colonies around the world, and our inner cities here at home are struggling against the oppressive hand of empire, demanding respect for their humanity. They are labeled insurgents or terrorists for resisting rape and pillage by the white establishment, but they are our brothers and sisters in the struggle for justice. The civilians at the other end of our weapons don't have a choice, but American soldiers have choices. And while there may have been some doubt 5 years ago, today we know the truth. Our soldiers don't sacrifice for duty, honor, country. They sacrifice for Kellogg, Brown, and Root. They don't fight for America, they fight for their lives and their buddies beside them because we put them in a war zone. They're not defending our freedoms. They're laying the foundation for 14 permanent military bases to defend the freedoms of ExxonMobil and British Petroleum. They're not establishing democracy. They're establishing the basis for an economic occupation to continue after the military occupation has ended. Iraqi society today, thanks to American help, is defined by house raids, death squads, checkpoints, detentions, curfews, blood in the streets, and constant violence. We must dare to speak out in support of the Iraqi people who resist and endure the horrific existence we brought upon them through our bloodthirsty imperial crusade. We must dare to speak out in support of those American war resistors, the real military heroes who uphold their oath to defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic, including those terrorist cells in Washington, D.C., more commonly known as the legislative, executive, and judicial branches. Frederick Douglass said, Those who profess to favor freedom and yet depreciate agitation are people who want crops without plowing the ground. They want rain without thunder and lightning. They want the ocean without the roar of its many waters. The struggle may be a moral one, or it may be a physical one, or it may be both, but it must be a struggle. Power concedes nothing without a demand. It never has, and it never will. Every one of us must keep demanding, keep fighting, keep thundering, keep plowing, keep speaking, keep struggling until justice is served. No justice, no peace. No justice, no peace. No justice, no peace.